Hello, I'm Jeffrey. This is AutoAlchemy, and this is another one of my typing videos for the OPS classes. And I'm joined today by my lovely wife, Hillary. Haven't talked about her as my wife yet on my channel. We got married relatively recently in time.
On Halloween.
On Halloween, spooky time to do your nuptials, but totally the time to do it. So hopefully we have some copycats out there.
You guys better
The
get married on
trendsetters.
Halloween.
Yeah, Hillary has been, she's interested in personality as well, has her own YouTube channel, updates it on a rare occasion.
Whenever there's like a blood moon, that's when
Exactly.
I feel like it's
Halloween, very particular times. But in any case, yeah, Hillary's been watching some of my recent videos, and I feel like, I guess you've been enjoying them.
I have. I think it's so cool to see your thought process and to just try to see in such a short little snippet how much is actually communicated. So I just thought it'd be cool to try. I mean, I'm like definitely not an expert.
Yeah,
but
well,
I'm
me
really,
neither.
really curious. So
And
we'll see.
I have a suspicion that she will be really good at catching things that I'm missing. So, if not this time, then if you refined it over time. So, in any case, yeah, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I think it'll be interesting, bare minimum. And so, yeah, today we are looking at Samuel L. Jackson. We already recorded this intro, so I'm going to say the joke again. It's not really a joke, but whenever I was a kid, I legitimately thought his name was Samuel L. Jackson, with like a little accent.
First name S-A-M.
Samuel.
Samuel.
But yeah, so Samuel L. Jackson, actor, you guys know the deal. Maybe we'll just jump into it since it's a little bit of a longer intro. But yeah, long story short, part one, we're going to look at him, try to type him. Part two, one or both of us will then do some analysis after his official type comes out and see where we went wrong or whatever the case may be. So anyway, we're just going to jump right into it. 2 minutes in.
It's really pure Quentin Tarantino dialogue.
Yes, very much so.
It's his hallmark.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and then seeing people that you haven't seen in a while, like Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Casting, everything about it.
Yeah. And Bruce was great in Nebraska, but
Bruce Dern playing the Confederate.
Yeah.
And his son, come looking for his son.
So perfect.
Yeah.
From all the old Western references we have, and everybody in that room has seen Bruce Dern in a movie.
Yeah.
Playing probably the worst person in the movie, because that's what he did. He made his stamp, playing bad guys. So it was so great to have him there and have Quentin talk about the films that he'd done between takes. Quentin would talk to Bruce about films that he'd done or reference them or recast this movie with people from Bruce's era in terms of who everybody would be in the film. It's just awesome.
Do you have thoughts?
I mean, I guess the thing I'm thinking right now is all he's fucking talking about is his dude. Why do you even care so much? So,
Bruce.
yeah, I don't even know who Bruce is.
Bruce and Quentin. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know Quentin
Not that it
Tarantino,
really matters for the
obviously.
sake of this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Quentin Tarantino.
I'm just gonna jot that down as
Bruce. Just, yeah, talking about Bruce.
this guy, that guy.
He did this, he did that. We're so lucky to have him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like people, right?
Yeah, for sure. So typically, I think of that as being connected to the decider stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, is it how off the rails is he with that? I don't really know. I don't have a read on that yet. But
Yeah, I don't know
that's
either. If
what
that's
I
like
feel.
his safe space or what.
I also feel, well. So what do you think about his overall energy? I kind of want to give you space to
Oh, I have space.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I just need to watch a little bit more. I don't know. By energy, what do you mean? Are you asking me literally energy versus infodom, or just his general demeanor?
General demeanor, where is he energy level wise?
He feels very alert to me.
Alert. Oh, interesting. Okay.
He's not super expressive, but he feels alert.
All right.
His face isn't like it's different than me, but he's awake right now.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, he's in the room.
Yeah, he's right there.
He's there.
He there? Are we?
He's actually
No.
there.
Yeah.
All right, onward.
What is it about you and Quentin?
What is it about the relationship between the two of you?
I have no idea. I just think that
Pause it.
Oh.
I don't know. All the nose touching. So funny to me.
The question is like, what is it about the two of you? I'm guessing the question is like, why do you collaborate so much? Because I know they collaborate.
What's the magic sauce?
Yeah, and yeah, what is the connection? The magic sauce. I like that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
fact that I did so much theater and I loved language, and I spent a lot of my youth or childhood sitting on the porch with my grandfather at night listening to radio drama. So I learned how to use words, or what the power of words or the rhythm or beauty or music in telling a story actually was, you know, and I loved doing it. And my grandfather would tell me stories, and he would make me make up stories to tell them. So I learned to do that through listening to Sergeant Preston of the Yukon and Andy Griffith tell stories, or, you know, The Shadow or The Whistler.
And the story about the football game in Carolina. You remember that story, Andy Griffith?
Feel anything from that?
He literally did not. Okay, so I'm thinking he didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
He was asked a question about a relationship, and he's now just talking about his experience falling in love with film. That's
Right.
how I would like sum that up. And through my own little lens.
And
like,
he didn't talk about Quentin in
Not
that
at
case.
all.
Yeah. Or like meeting him, or like how they connected, or like why it works, you know.
Right.
It was definitely like looking.
But I think he might be indirectly trying to talk about
Yeah,
that. Of
I think
like
so
their
too.
shared love
Yeah.
of story, and he's just saying how he came to his.
So, I mean, I agree with you, and I definitely don't want to like go too all in on that, but like the indirect is like kind of, it's like an implication, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like I associate that a little bit more with like being on the intuitive
Me
side,
too.
I think.
Me
Like,
too. So
y-
far, it's kind of.
like you guys will get it, I get it, I don't need to spell it out. People don't need things spelled out. People will just make
Yeah,
them.
I mean, when this guy even asked the.
Whoops, haha, turn on sticky keys. That's always so
Sticky.
abrasive. Like, why is it like that? Okay, anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. What was I saying? Oh, Lord Jesus.
We're talking about intuition.
Oh yeah,
and-
okay. When he's like, describe your relationship, or what it is about your relationship, I feel like Samuel L. Jackson is like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's like this, like, oh, why did you ask me that? Don't make me tell you what it is. It just is. Which is
Yeah.
to me another like intuitive kind of preference.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
exhausted
yeah.
even thinking about having to describe this to you.
Oh, and like make it make sense
I
to
don't
you.
want to
Spell
talk
it
about
out.
that. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. So one thing you kind of pointed out was that was more like, that was more subjective in my opinion, or more like
What he did.
self-oriented, like my history, or my like, yeah, my
Me too.
personal trajectory.
Maybe DI
It felt
or
it felt maybe slower in this case, like than the other stuff where he was talking about like Bruce came in and Quentin and Bruce, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of state
Yeah.
change stuff that I would like think about.
so what? To you, a state change is quicker, a state change is slower, or how do you know?
I'd say
when
like a
it's
state. So
improving?
I love this because I normally don't have someone to like
I always have these
check me
questions
on
when I'm
this
like
kind of thing.
watching you. I'm like, what is happening? Okay.
state change as in like. There's a little.
I
cat
know. I've
hair
been
floating.
watching it like float.
So I think of it in this case as being like the speed, right? So the question is like things that you think about more often are going to be easier. Like you're just going to talk about them more quickly because you have like grooves
right
established in your brain because you,
Oh, okay. So the fact that this was slower.
yeah, no, I don't know. Like I feel like
Possibly.
I felt like it was a little slower or like a little more labored, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'd write that
We could
down.
even do like a comparison later. Okay. All right, we're 2 minutes into the video.
How much have you? Where do you see it?
Down at the bottom, we've been going for
Oh,
10
shit.
minutes.
Okay, let's go.
Griffith told a wonderful story about what they call what it was football.
Yeah.
You know, where did you grow up? Where was
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
and did you decide there that, man, what I want to do is where I can use language?
I did not decide that there because that was not one of the career options I was ever given in terms of being a wordsmith or doing that. You know, you were taught you want to grow up and have a reputable job, teacher, lawyer, doctor, preacher. So when I said I was going to be an actor, it kind of shocked everybody. My mom said, "So what are you going to do for a living?"
Yeah.
Until she saw my first commercial and she said, "Oh, you know, my son's an actor."
Well, what was the big break?
Anything out of that for you?
You're just talking about the expectations of others,
Mm-hmm.
which is
My mom said, like,
yeah, the world said you had to be these things.
Mhm. So it never even.
But he went against it, but it doesn't seem like he's like, I said fuck those things.
It wasn't.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I definitely swear in mine. Right. I mean, to me, it feels. I guess one thing I would like be willing to say is that it feels like maybe double decider-y, like because there isn't that like everybody was
sharpness.
against me, like the whole world was against me, but then I did my thing, or like
Yeah, he's talking. He chose to talk about it,
yeah.
but
What do you take from that he chose to talk about it?
what? The guy just asked him where did he grow up. Grew up.
But then he said, "Did you want to like follow this path?"
Oh, I missed that. Or
I think I
forgot.
kind of missed
Things
the
are
beginning
happening
of
so
it too.
quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, so maybe he didn't bring it up on his own.
I don't know. We could go back a little bit.
Oh, you know, grow up and have the career
Oh, damn.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
What they call what it was football.
Yeah,
You know. Where did you grow up? Where was
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
and did you decide there that, man, what I want to do is where I can use language?
Where I can use language.
I want to do something where I can use language. So, like, did you? I think that's almost. So you could take that like a few different ways, right? Like, decide that you want to use language. You could follow that up with like a bunch of like, yes, for this reason and that reason, and this thing was in my way and that thing was in my way. Or you could follow it up with like,
Right, or he even could have been like, oh, I wasn't gonna do these things, so I did just follow what I was gonna do.
right.
I feel like I did not add
No.
anything by
No,
that phrase.
no.
It made more of an impact in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. So yeah, I mean, I feel like this could be anything, right? Because it could be like, how did you decide through like reasons or what felt wrong or right, or it could be about like your options and like the world being limited or wanting more options, like observer stuff. So I didn't really add anything either because I just kind of like said it could be anything. Let's see where he goes.
I did not decide that there because that was not one of
Did
the
not decide.
career options I was ever given.
It was not available. It was not part of like the buffet of options given to me.
In terms of being a wordsmith or doing that, you know, you were taught you want to grow up and have a reputable job, teacher, lawyer, doctor, preacher. So when I said I was going to be an actor, kind of
Also,
preacher.
Preacher.
yeah. What do you think that is?
Yeah.
Because it could be
So when I
like his version of like, I'm having to like give the example.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm thinking is he's like, okay,
whatever else I can get out.
how can I lump all these? Like, how can I just get the point across to you kind of quickly? I don't want to keep telling you these options.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. So like another point for intuition.
said,
Maybe, well, another thing I'm thinking too is perhaps like that was maybe some kind of like judgment on his growing up in the South. I don't know.
Judgment about preacher. Yeah.
That one seemed to have more weight
Yeah,
to it.
you're
And I
right.
don't know again if that's because it was the last one he said and he's like exhausted or
Right.
what.
I was was going to be an actor kind of shocked everybody. My mom said, "So what are you going to do for a living?"
Yeah.
Until
How
she
are you
saw
going
my-
to make money? How are you going to support yourself? How are you going to live?
Right.
Or his mom.
It's like mom is saying it's like impractical in some way. You know, I think, yeah, to me that also,
He's not saying, how am I going to make a living?
right, right.
He seems less concerned with that.
Okay,
That's how I think of that.
okay. And I tend to think of like making a living, making money, I think is like more on like the ST side. Like, how are you going to, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. But he's like, they're saying like you're being impractical to some degree. Maybe you're like living in like this imaginary world where this is not going to work out for you or whatever.
my first commercial, and she said, "Oh, you know, my son's an actor."
But what was the big break?
So what happened? Something
Yeah,
happened.
what was the big... like immediately, I feel like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
So something happening, like, yeah, give me a specific thing that like split your trajectory or like sent you down a new path. So for me, that's like an observery kind of like
Oh, you know,
question.
my son's an actor.
Yeah.
But what was the big break?
Big break, I guess, when they created Best Supporting Actor Award at the Cannes Film Festival, and I received the Palme d'Or for Jungle Fever.
Yeah.
The call from Hollywood came up.
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a brilliant performance, too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Well, you were. I mean,
I've done the research. So,
Yeah. and so it was the movie.
Are you pausing and playing, or are you fast forwarding?
I'm just pausing,
Oh, okay.
like thinking, is this a good time to stop? Is it not?
Movies rather than the theater. After that.
Well, that was the goal.
Yeah.
You know,
Always movies.
well, I watched movies all my life. I spent all my life going to the movies every Saturday. That's what I did. I sat in the movie theater all day long.
Saying, I want to be up there on that screen.
I didn't know I wanted to be up there. I know I enjoyed the stories. I know I enjoyed going home, doing the movie that we'd seen with my friends and putting our guns on and playing, you know, John Wayne or Roy Rogers or whoever, or running from Frankenstein or Dracula or King Kong or Godzilla. We played all those games, or making bow and arrows and being Robin Hood. We did those things.
But here's what.
Dots?
He's speeding up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm focused on like... I don't know. I feel like he's like pointing out people and figures again.
Interesting. Okay. I'm kind of like,
The story bit. He's like, story is so important to him.
yeah. Yeah, what is a story? In your opinion?
A story is something that helps us like make sense, relate, and feel human.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now, what does he think a story is?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I didn't know that's what I thought a story was.
Yeah.
I might not think that's what a story is, but in this moment, that's what I said.
Right. I mean, so something that stands out to me, I wonder what you think of this, but the fact that he's like aware that like this is what I did every Saturday, and I saw that I went to the movies every time, and I saw that like I did this regularly, and then I
Yeah.
went back and I like replayed the movies with my friends, and I just like looped through the same thing
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I was thinking of like OI almost.
Yeah,
like,
me too. Me too.
And like a comfort, as like a comfortable thing, and you know.
I'm feeling like this dude is like NF, like INFJ or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, I'm kind of like also leaning
it
that
out there.
that way, either like
Oh,
NIFI or
INTJ,
NIFE.
Yeah.
I mean,
But he seems bad. To me, I'm still getting more double decidery.
Yeah, me
but
too,
I
me
don't
too.
know.
Not. I also actually think that he's MF.
The first is
Your sensing function,
the
and
second is your extroverted decider.
yeah, and so the reason that I say that is just because of the thing that he said about being with his grandpa.
Yeah, it's
and,
very
like,
concrete detail that he's somehow remembering. Dude, I would not. I would have to, I'd be like this, like trying to
Right.
remember. And he's just like talking.
yeah, and then also he talks about like the rhythm and the musicality of the language, and that's like I feel like you're really attuned to that when you're. This is called the audio modality. You're like more attuned to that. A lot of people who are like good with music, producers and such, end up being MF, and I think maybe he's also like tuned into the language in that way, in a similar way. But that's a total guess, and I've said it so many times in my videos that I hate the like modalities or like.
They're my least favorite.
I find it hard to
least
think about
intuitive
them.
part,
Yeah, but we'll keep going.
Clinton says, you're the only actor he will let play with his dialogue. You're the only guy
Yeah.
that he'll allow to even touch his stuff.
Yeah.
So that why should I be surprised? You're saying
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that that's a surprise. I do know that when I read something he's written and I've thought about the character and I've analyzed it, I read the script endlessly. I read it over and over and over and over again, and then by the
Oh
time
my
it's-
god. Okay, sorry, I'm triggered. Okay, to me that's just more like
Yeah, more
OI.
evidence for the OI. Yeah.
Holy
He's like
moly.
totally cool with it. Like this is like the way to do it.
Yeah, this is it.
I could be like, the only way for me to do this, I have to read it over and over again for it to drill in.
Yeah, and he's like, no, this is just how it
This
is.
is the process.
This is how I
and
like to do it. This
The
is
method.
my thing.
Yeah.
Just getting some.
Yeah.
we start rehearsal, I have an idea of who physically the character is because I try and make that up and talk to Quentin about who I think he is physically, so we have that conversation so that
like
when
what does he wear, how he walks, everything?
yeah, what he wears, what his hair looks like, you know, all
I just felt a pressure to look at the time. It's 22 minutes.
That's okay. Did you catch that?
No, because I was thinking that.
about who I think he is physically, so we have that conversation so that
Like
when
what does he wear, how he walks, everything?
yeah, what he wears, what his hair looks like, you know, all those things.
Okay,
All that other-
definitely.
all that other
Fuck,
bullshit.
Dude, this is so good. I really think he's demon sensory.
Yeah, for sure. I feel
That is so
whatever that
good.
shit.
Yeah, that's like so relatable. honestly.
Things that I like to make up for a character. I have that discussion with him. So that when I'm visualizing the character, when I start to read the script for the, 25th time, I have that character. I could see him on screen in the film. And as I see him and I read the words, then I realize, okay, if this person is saying it, he would say it this way. So I make a note. I don't just willy-nilly show up on Quentin's set and say something that he hadn't written. So you go, wait, what is that? I'll go to him and say, look, I think I know what you mean here, but you ought to say it this way. And he'll say, well, read what I wrote. Okay. And say it the way you want to say it. Okay, I like it. Keep it.
If his ear likes it, he'll
Yeah.
keep it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Keep it. Or he'll say, no, say it the way I wrote it.
And you accept that.
Yeah.
You don't argue for it. Now, the way this character's dressed, it's
Awesome.
Interesting.
It's also interesting because I feel like what he's really saying behind all that is like, I don't know if this matters, but this is what I'm thinking. Like, he's saying he allows me to change it because I'm very intentional.
Right.
As opposed to like someone who would come on set and just like randomly have an inspiration
Right.
and change something. That's not valued, but his way is valued.
Yeah, he's not an agent of chaos.
Right.
And he'll do it, and then if it's not well received, then whatever, fine. And he won't argue it. Now that's like,
To me, that's still a kind of a reason for me of double decider.
yeah. And also, to me, it's also maybe like feminine, like DE, and that he's like, you know, like, I gave you my thing, but you know, whatever, like I'll roll with your vision or your idea, but at least we talked about it. Yeah, more on DE.
So you're feminine,
Yes.
FE.
Yes.
Okay.
Winter, it's cold.
Yes.
Really cold.
Yes.
Was that the costume that you imagined?
We went through several iterations of that costume.
Where is it?
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I jumped
Does
ahead
that
somehow.
matter? I don't know.
Now, the way this character's dressed, it's winter, it's cold.
Yes.
Really cold.
Yes.
Was that the costume that you imagined?
We went through several iterations of that costume because he actually lives on that mountain. So at one point, Quentin had envisioned him as more of a mountain man. So he had on a different coat and he had leggings on that were made of fur and all this other stuff. In my mind,
And all the other stuff.
I'd seen him as Lee Van Cleef for a very long time.
Yeah.
So when he finally got to the Lee Van Cleef thing, I was like, okay, now we're finally on the same page. The black suit, the white shirt, the red tie, under the old army coat that was his, that he'd worn during the war, you know, with his black cavalry boots still on.
I love the part about the letter from Lincoln. Explain that.
Explain.
Look at his face. Fuck, dude. It's like his head's gonna fucking roll off of his body. He's done that pose a few times too, and not always like that way.
See,
but
that's
like he like looks kind of like
Interesting.
like he's gone. He's not there.
That's the kind of thing that that I don't notice. So that's one thing I'm like grateful. Oh,
Sorry.
he's ever down there.
Oh, he was there today. When you were
Oh. All right, we'll keep going.
Okay.
The part about the letter from Lincoln. Explain that.
Put it into words. Make it clear for me.
I can't.
Help me. Yeah, I don't know. Help me understand what that is.
We're in a time that's
What?
post-Civil War, and
Like the 1860s, early 70s.
yeah,
Oh, you
maybe
need
5,
help
6
from
years
the
after the
interview.
war. And
Yeah, good call.
to have an interesting item like that can either be a cause for conversation or a cause for a fight in an interesting sort of way. And especially for a
If you're in the
person,
South, it's a
Oh,
cause
yeah.
for a fight.
yeah, especially for a person like me to have it.
Yeah.
And considering my history with the Confederacy. So having that letter,
Your character had fought the Confederacy.
yes.
And
He's like,
Trying to get like the things.
and he's filling in the gap of like.
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
This
totally.
is a painful thing for Samuel.
Samuel.
Double
and
L.
had a bounty on my head, a bounty placed on my head by the Confederacy because of my proclivity for killing them.
yes.
Just thought it was a funny thing. So to have that letter and to run into the right person of the dominant culture was an entree for me to meet those people and have them look at me a different way.
Everybody you met who knew about the letter thought about the letter.
Yes.
Talked about the letter.
Talked about
wanted
the
to see the letter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean it's a great thing. I mean, if I had a letter from President Obama and I told people, yeah, I walk around with a letter from President Obama, people go, oh wow, can I see it?
Can I see it?
You know, a personal letter,
What do
and
you
not
say?
just one of those form letters.
And how do you know the president? That's
Yeah,
what they would ask.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the conversation. How do you know him?
Lincoln?
Yeah, exactly. And so, well, we never met, but he knows my war record, and we were pen pals.
But back to Quentin.
So, is he like doing an example or a real story? Don't know.
I totally like missed something too. I'm like,
I'm like
what?
invested.
Where are we now?
Yeah, I feel like I really checked out. Honestly, when we watch this back, you'll probably see me like a glazed little donut over here.
Well, honestly, you'll see me doing the same thing. So
Oh
I'll
my
just be sitting there in the
God.
donut shop window, looking like snacks. But all right, I think actually, so obviously we've been going on for a little while.
Should we stop?
I
and
think we
just
could like
shoot a-
probably shoot our shot here. So we could turn him off. You can see our very messy notes.
It's on. Oh, cool. Okay.
So let's see. Did you have any? Okay, so this is good to ask you because you're not like polluted as much with like the concepts from OP as I am. Just like generally speaking, is he deep? Is he? Is he very extroverted
Oh.
or very introverted, or is he something in the middle?
I feel like he's either more introverted or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I mean, it might just be he might just have like lower play. I guess that would obviously impact the introversion and extroversion.
Right. Right. I mean,
I feel like he's a sleepy little puppy.
I feel that way as well.
Maybe sleepy blasty. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel that way as well. So the reason that I ask that is that like people who are so this is not an official OPS concept, but this guy named Habib created this distinction between omniverts and ambiverts,
Oh, sure.
and it's pretty like helpful, I think.
Mm.
So like that the omniverts are people like you could say play is extroverted and blast is extroverted.
Also me.
So, play blast,
Mm.
blast play.
Mm.
You have two extroverted, right? Side by side. So that's omniverted. Sleep and consume are introverted. So they would be the other side of the omnivert's dilemma. And then, the blast sleep, sleep blast, and the consume play, play consume would be like ambiverted.
I guess I'm feeling more of that energy from him. but-
Yeah, me too. I feel
Okay.
that too. Like, he's not.
I try, okay, this might be dumb, but like I try to picture like if he was like at a party or a big event, how would he be throughout the night? And I feel like he would just be there. Like he'd just be kind of solid the whole time. Wouldn't have to be like the center of the attention, and he also wouldn't be like needing to leave.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. He just seems like that's how I felt when you first asked me about his energy. I was like, he just seems awake,
Yeah.
but not like cracked.
Crack. Not like,
Like I think
Hey.
I'm actually more cracked.
like,
I think I let like certain like excitements, and I'm very like hit by other things, and that
like reactive.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel
He
like
doesn't seem
he
that
was
way.
very steady.
Yeah, very steady.
To the point that I don't even want to consider OE, even though I did it just for the
Why?
ambiverts. I like put that on there, but I think he is more on the side of OI, and so that would put him in one of these
Yeah.
columns.
Okay. You just bolded them.
Yeah. So yeah, what else? We talked about. I feel like I'm happy to say double decider.
Okay. Wow. You just know where these are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just because I know that these are like
I still think he's INF.
IJs. Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel the only reservation I have about that is that I feel like he could be
NT.
like an INTJ with like double activated sleep and be like he could still be like tribe above self, but then have like deeply like sleepy world that's
Oh.
an NF world that's coming out. But I'm not, I'm not sold. So, do you feel?
I think I guess that's what I'll say. I think he has demon sensing.
Oh,
So
right,
I would take
right.
out, the ones that have
Absolutely.
savior sensing. So
I feel like it's somewhere in there with the bolds.
yeah, so either an INFJ or an INTJ.
Yeah, and
Double decider.
yeah,
Are all of these double
yeah.
deciders?
All
Okay,
INTJs
okay.
would be double deciders, just
Oh,
by
right,
being
duh, okay.
It's okay. So okay, another question for you then, as like the outsider with a bunch of fresh beginner's luck. Oh, I forgot my question.
Oh no.
Oh damn.
Okay, the next question, something that I might be able to see. What haven't we?
Oh right.
decided on
Well, okay. Let's talk again about like self versus tribe. So, did you feel that I was correct in saying okay, he seems to be like more on the uptick when he's like, yeah, Quentin did this and Bruce did that and I did this and I guess my thing was that and or, what do you see there?
he definitely is talking, even when he's talking about his experiences, he's talking about other people
Mm-hmm.
and other, like, factors.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know.
even when he was talking about, like, the language, like, what got you into that? How did you get into the field you're in, or whatever the question was? And he never was like, oh yeah, well, like, I still don't know how it impacted him, how he got there. I still don't
right.
know. Did he like it? How did he find that? Did he go searching for it? Was it important to him? I really don't know. He was just like,
Right.
society said I had to do these things. My mom was like judgy of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it in a commercial. When?
Right.
How? I
Right.
guess maybe that pushes me more to think it's one of
One of
those.
these, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard.
I mean, I'm with you. I think so too. That's the direction that I'm leaning. And then, not only that, but at some point, Charlie Rose, the interviewer, gave him a compliment, and he was kind of just like there was like a bashful moment that I didn't really like point out as much, but it was like he didn't like fully take the compliment, or he kind of like deflected the compliment a little
And I
bit.
remember that moment, and I couldn't tell if he was deflecting, like you're saying, or if he literally was actually taking it, and I'm the one who wouldn't know what
And
to
you would have
say.
deflected
Yeah,
it,
and so
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh.
it's hard.
Well, that was another
to
thing that
keep
made me
yourself
feel
totally
like
separate.
double decider in general, is just because I didn't like either way.
How would you?
It was
have
it was
taken
more uncertain, right? Like, I mean, there are times when I won't take a compliment, but this is kind of like sociopath reasoning here. But sometimes I deflect the compliment just because I'm like, people expect you to deflect some compliments, otherwise you seem like an egotistical ass. Like, I accept some compliments, and then sometimes I'm like, okay, it's like I gotta humble myself a little bit now, or like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to read into, but the fact that it is more
Well,
ambiguous is
the
what
fact that
makes
you
me-
even know that is like double decider.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that I think it's hard to tell with him also makes it feel more like it could have been this, but it could have been that. But he wasn't like super weird about it, so it wasn't like super decidery.
Yeah.
So okay.
Sorry.
I know we're running long, but the whole thing here is that if we completely kill it, then we won't even need a part 2.
Oh, Jeffrey. Okay, let's just pick.
All right. Okay. So.
So it's really, is it NF or NT at
So-
this point? And is it a demon FI or demon TI?
Right.
Is it what's the thinking and what's the feeling
Right.
happening here? Which
Exactly.
I don't know if I ever even really thought of that much.
Right.
Tribe values.
Right.
Tribe thinking.
Well, we could
It
just-
seems more value-y, actually.
Let's go to just like a random point and see what he's talking about.
House Spelman players. We had our own
No, you can just keep
Oh,
going.
you're still plugged in. Okay.
street theater company called Black Image Theater. Then I did an improvisational children's theater across town at the Academy Theater, and I was also in an improvisational structured theater or repertory theater. And what else did I do? I had another theater company that we started called, wow, can't even remember the name of it, but that was another
Fuck
company
yeah,
that,
man. Of course
that
you
we
can.
started. So I did a lot of different kinds of things, preparing myself to dive into this big New York theater pool. So when I got here, I immediately went to work off Broadway, and then I started working in Manhattan Plaza to pay my bills, but I didn't go to class.
Yeah.
And I would always ask these people, or people would ask me to audition with them for a certain school, and I would do their piece with them and go, and they wouldn't get into school, but whoever was running the school would always offer me a scholarship.
Because you already
And
had
I'd
the
kinda
chops.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Jump ahead. Give us
Actually,
brain.
he has a whole nother way of looking at the world. You know, it's like when people vilify me online
For this film or for what?
for anything,
Yeah.
for whatever. I mean, I got vilified, I guess, last week for something I said about the Santa Barbara shooting. You know, when I said I was watching, I was sitting in Hawaii on set.
You mean the San Bernardino?
I mean, yes, San Bernardino shooting. I was
He's
in
like, oh God, I just said it wrong.
Hawaii on set watching it on Fox News. For some reason, I was watching Fox.
I was going to ask you that.
And they were talking about the people, but
What does that mean to you?
I'm like trying to see anything that will help
For
me
some
figure out
reason,
like feeling versus
vilified, being made into a villain.
they had
And he
identified.
cackled, dude. He fucking cackled.
So to me, honestly, I think of that more as like a thinking thing. Like people are
Like-
trying to tell me that I'm like doing something inappropriate, that I'm like a bad guy, that I'm like failing to live up to like an ethical standard. But I don't know. I want to know what you think.
How is that a thinking thing? Doesn't that seem more value?
It's
Ethical
it's
standard?
aware of it, but he's like like laughing dismissively of it would be my thing of like
Like not respecting it.
not
is what you're
respecting it.
saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll play another sec.
Identified him. And I said that as I sat there, I hoped that it was just another crazy white person with a gun and not, you know,
Not a terrorist act.
not a terrorist act.
Yeah.
Because that's something I could process. And I didn't want to think that all of a sudden we were going to have another group of people. We were already afraid of terrorists already, but to validate that would endanger a whole nother group of people that we hadn't been, you know, really bothering with. I mean, the Muslims that live in this country have their way of living, and we trust them in their religion in that way. But all of a sudden, I felt like once they got identified as Muslim, every Muslim in this country became suspect by a certain group of people in this country.
Some in politics.
Yeah, and I didn't want that to be the case.
Yeah. So
I figured that if it was just another crazy white
So your
dude, that's
fear-
something we'd already processed, and
we've
we
seen-
know how to handle
we've
that.
seen that before.
Yeah, and we seem not to
We've seen it before.
vilify them in the way that we would vilify some other, you know, ethnic group.
How do you respond to all that? Do you really?
I don't. You know, I read it and I realize I understand why someone would have that idea that they would think I'm racist. But I grew up in segregated Tennessee. Very segregated Tennessee. And
Sorry, I'm just responding.
I was
to
in
him.
this
I don't-
country
I'm not
and
out
I
there.
saw the signs and I heard the words and I lived through the civil rights movement in terms of
Crazy.
Yeah.
what the hate looked like, what it felt like, what it sounded like, and what it felt like to me when I was a kid and growing up. So when I say things, I say them from a place of I've seen this picture before, or I've heard this hate before,
I'm
and I understand what it
dying.
is. So
So good.
when I say things like, I hope it's not this person or that person, you know, it's like I sit at home and watch crimes happen on the news, and I say to myself, gee, I hope it's not a black person. You know? And I don't know that white people sit at home.
I don't know.
That was a long, yeah, I'm kind of falling off it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with guessing either of them. We're not
Okay.
gonna. If it's one of those, we're not far off.
I
So,
feel, yeah.
Is he play last? Is he consume last?
I feel like it's more play last. But
Okay.
it's really tough. Okay, so I'll do. And
So is that energy dom or info
that would
dom?
be energy dom. Or sorry, no, that's info dom.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems right to me for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. And all right.
Just go with your gut.
My
Just
gut
go with
says
your
this
gut.
actually.
Go with your gut.
All right, okay, cool.
We're done.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Hello, back at it with part 2 for Samuel L. Jackson. Bad news, I guess you could say.
Ruh-roh.
So this is like almost as upside down as you could get. Like we definitely got a few pieces right. So as you can see, we landed on NITE, blast, sleep, play, consume, and its official typing came out as SEFE, play, consume, blast, sleep, double masculine. We got masculine on the sensory, but not the DE. So yeah. That's the bad news. You know, a little bit of good news in there. You know, we did get info dom. We did get observer. Hillary had said FE, and she deferred to me because of my experience in the field.
The pro, you know. But yeah, I mean, in my head, even when we went out to lunch together today and we were talking about it, and I kept saying like, oh, we got all the functions right. In my head, I was like, he's NIFE.
Right. You
I
never
forgot.
surrendered that.
I didn't surrender
Yeah.
it. I still
In
felt
your heart
it.
of hearts.
Yeah. But I don't know. I see why you chose T. Why you went with it, and I'm,
Yeah.
you know, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty conflicted, and honestly, I think that as I was saying over lunch today, he like kind of reminded me of someone else who had then typed NITE in the classes. So I was definitely starting to get like funneled in a particular direction. It is funny though. So one thing we had talked about earlier was your comment about him, like
At
very
the very
early on when I
beginning.
was asking about the impression he was leaving on you. Do you want to say a little more about that?
The impression he was leaving.
Yeah, or like the thing you said about him being
Oh, yeah. We had been talking about it in terms of, I think Jeffrey was trying to get me to say whether I thought he was energy dumb. Or no, you were just you were asking about energy. Just energy.
there. Yeah, just energy in general, I
Like
think.
the woo-woo. And I was just like, he feels very here. He feels very in the room. Very, did I say active?
Present,
Alive.
active, alive, definitely alive.
To go back and watch.
Yeah,
I haven't
like
watched it
definitely,
back.
you probably said that.
Absolutely. He's living.
Yeah. So yeah, just that whole concept of like him being present, and I think that is like a stereotype from even MBTI land that does carry over into
In some way.
into OPS.
I guess you could argue here for sure.
Yeah, and so just like a few other thoughts that kind of like popped into my head thinking about this. So one of the things that we latched onto as evidence of OI was that he was like, oh, I read the script over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
we were like, oh my God, can't
We
look at
nailed
that,
him.
Look at that OI. Yeah, I can never imagine doing that.
Yeah, God, that is such
But
a...
it's also hilarious if that's like an SE thing and we both have demon sensory and we're like, so like from both fronts, it's just like
It's
horrible.
like, he's like, yeah, I was savior consuming all the sensory on the... Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like, he's like comfortable reading bunch of squiggly lines. He's probably getting something new out of every reading, right? It's not just it's not like he's like, I read it and I got it, but I read it again just to be safe. It's like every time, like my basically my takeaway has been, it feels like what his primary objective is with that is like, I need to like fully, I have to like, I'm obligated to honor the accuracy of it. Like I need to get it exactly as it is. So I need to like replicate this. I need to internalize it. He was complaining about people who would just show up, not even know their lines, not even have like the sensory nailed down.
Oh.
And so there's that, and then like kind of like the humanistic component of like the FE being with that as well. Of like, I'm building my character and I'm understanding their dimensions and I'm understanding literally what they wear, what they're like.
Yeah.
The detail of the character. Yeah.
I know. I think I need to watch it back and look through this lens because I remember him saying things like that, but kind of like I mentioned over lunch today, like I also felt like he would talk in terms of archetypes, characters.
Right.
What else did I say?
That was kind of the
Whatever.
gist of it, yeah.
That kind of a thing. And
And you
so
were saying
that was like
as
the
intuitive
NI,
somehow,
yeah, like more intuitive, focusing on the bigger, like what role is this,
Sure.
rather than like
Yeah.
a red hat. That's a cherry on the top detail.
Great.
Great, and if he has masculine sensory, which is what we thought, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jeffrey told me that like so many people got really close to this one, and so. It's
Yeah.
hard. I feel stubborn. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
He's an INFJ.
Yeah.
But I really want to go back and look and see. Maybe watch this video parts of it again, but then maybe something different also.
Yeah, well, I have a little clip here actually that I had like queued up just for like an example of something that now stands out to me as being maybe
That maybe we saw in a demon state or something. Because that was the
Yeah.
other thing, is we kind of struggled to figure out what was a
What
demon
was-
state
yeah.
and what wasn't.
yeah. So this is just a little moment.
leggings on that were made of fur and all this other stuff. In my mind, I'd seen him.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
as Lee Van Cleef for a very long time.
Yeah.
So when he finally got to the Lee Van Cleef thing, I was like, okay, now we're finally on the same page. The black suit, the white shirt, the red tie, under
once
the
we got
old
these
army coat that was
together.
his, that he'd worn during the war, with his black cavalry boots still on.
I love the.
So he's like, even though he did the like all that other stuff, it's almost like because it's not the right stuff. He's like talking about like one version of a character and then getting the character right. Like what is true to like the character, true to life. I don't know. That's just like how I'm trying to like think about it to see if that helps me make things click a little bit. And then, like to give Hillary some points on like the FE from before, like I felt like I was seeing places where he wasn't really like wanting to like argue, like he would like present his corrections to Quentin Tarantino, and then I guess we don't really need these.
Unless you're
No,
playing
that's all I
poker.
had. Yeah.
Okay.
She gone. Yeah, like he presented some like suggestions for Quentin Tarantino's dialogue, and then Charlie Rose, the interviewer, is like, "Did you argue if he didn't accept it?" And he's just like, "No, like it's not my responsibility to like convince you or like to persuade you to reason it out." It's just like
he's like, I've reasoned it internally. Here it is for you. You don't care? It's fine.
okay, like yeah. So that's something, and then like also like the aligning piece. Like I don't really care if we align on that front. I often think so that could be like thinking, or it can be blasting. Like my understanding of blasting has a lot of like alignment built into it. So I should say more.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's kind of
Alignment built into it.
yeah, like check-ins, or like this is going to be kind of going off the rails a little bit, but it's like,
Are you with me?
are you with me? Yeah, are you with me?
Make sense?
Yeah, like let's be on
Okay.
the same page. And like I feel like that's like something we navigate in our relationship is like I need to like elevate a little bit to like make sure that we're on the same page, right? And that for you, you're like,
I'm
yes,
like,
please, like let's, where is it? Where's the like the
Bring it
alignment?
out.
Where's that? Yeah. And so I feel like, from that perspective, I don't really see like a lot of blast in him. I don't know. And we did kind of identify him as lead blast.
I don't know why we put lead blast.
I think just
Did it have to do with something else?
I think it's just because if it's OI and DE, then it's blast.
Oh. Okay. Whatever.
So in any case, there's that. And then, some of the slowdown that we saw on the details and such, I was thinking like, okay, like lower blast, lower sleep, those are like your known info kind of animals. And so it's like, tell me something about your life. Like, tell me your life trajectory. Tell me a specific, like, familiar story about so-and-so or whatever. Like, I thought maybe that could be some of the slowdown of, like, oh, you're making me, like, talk out in a very, like, linear fashion now. Like, he can pull up details, but he can pull up random details and not, like, SI, like, chronological detail, almost.
Are those truly differences with SE and SI according to OP?
Those
Or
are
is
more
that-
like
that
my
sounds like an
extrapolation.
MBTI thing.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that may be more of what I'm bringing to the table. I do think though that like, if you are like SE, it would be different if he was like FISE, consume, sleep, blast, because then I think it would be like more. There would be more of the counterbalance of the NI that would make it.
Yeah,
more,
that's fair. I could see. Yeah, for sure.
but in any case, obviously you don't want to go on too long with this, just to check in. Already 10 minutes. That's what's up.
But you know what? I also type myself upside down, so maybe this is just what I bring.
Well, yeah, there's like also a lot of pressure when it's like two people trying to be timely and like, I don't want to like.
Okay, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No.
What's crazy to me though is like if he's double masculine, both his saviors are masculine.
And then still somehow.
And we still somehow miss that. Yeah, it's just what's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, that does suck, but I mean, I'm glad to have made this little foray into
was fun.
joint typing, and I want to do it again. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. That's all I have to say. Any final comments from you?
I hope you guys have a great next moment of your day or your night. That's all.
Wherever you
good.
are in
Make
history
it
and
good.
space and time.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.